From Byron Bay, I'm going to head west, up into the hills to visit the small village of Nimbin. Nimbin used to be a one-street dairy farm community. In the early 70s, it played host to the Aquarius Festival, which celebrated alternative lifestyles. Many of the hippies stayed on, and now its main industry is a little bit different from milking cows. Grass has always been big in Nimbin, first to feed the cows, and now in the form of the annual Mardi Grass festival. The aim of the festival is to bring about law reform with regard to marijuana use. But Nimbin isn't just about dope and mung beans. I spoke with Neil Pike, one of the original hippies who moved to Nimbin back in the 70s.
I've been a musician all my life, or all my adult life, and in the 80s I was part of a pop group that got on television and put out the first independent CD in the world and got $35,000 non-recoverable cash advance from Warner Brothers and all sorts of other wonderful things, and never actually kind of became famous or never actually cracked the golden egg in any real terms, but got close enough to see that it wasn't really where I was at anyway. And since that time I've just concentrated on doing my own thing, and using computers and the internet I've managed to reach an overseas audience, a small but dedicated overseas audience that like what I do. Because I long ago recognised that the music I genuinely liked to play wasn't particularly commercial, and that maybe 0.02% of the population genuinely loved it, but to the rest of the planet it was just like bad vegetarian restaurant music, the factors that really make Nimbin such a unique and wonderful place to live. Firstly, you've got definitely one of the most amazing, beautiful, natural environments on the globe. You'd have to travel a long way in Europe or America to find a wilderness that's as beautiful and as intact as some of the areas around here. But then, as well as that, you've got this population that I think probably you could say 60% of the whole area of this part of northern New South Wales, not just Nimbin, but the whole area, would describe themselves as alternative in one way or another. The common ground is that everybody's looking for something a little bit different to what living in the city offers, right? The really important thing and relevant thing I think about Nimbin to greater society, to the mainstream society, is that has been and continues to be a place where we sort of test drive alternative lifestyles. And those ones that have worked, the ideas, philosophies and lifestyles that we have tried that have been relevant, have very, very quickly been adopted by the mainstream, basically. And, no acknowledgement or thanks whatsoever, I might add, But, the environment movement's a damn good example of that. Was that when we started screaming about the Terania forest and the nightcap forest being under threat, we were just seriously downplayed as mad hippies, and yet 20 years later, it's a national park, and they have editorials in the local newspaper about what a good and wonderful thing it was that we held the blockade. You don't find the real Nimbin on the streets, and what you see on the streets in Nimbin is, pretty much what you'd find in the streets of Amsterdam or the streets of King's Cross. It's a free-range psychiatric clinic, no questions asked. We like it; it keeps the real estate lobby at bay, But if you really want to see Nimbin, you have to get out of the town itself and probably meet a local and get to know what's really happening in the hills, and that's where the true Nimbin is.